In today's class, I'm going to teach you the Pythagoras theorem and its converse. So, in today's class, you will be learning to understand and apply Pythagoras theorem and its converse. First of all, when we talk about Pythagoras theorem, it is related to a right angle triangle. All of you know that a triangle in which one angle is 90 degrees, that is called as right angle triangle. Okay, so let me take my highlighter, laser pointer. If one of the angles is 90 degrees, we call that one as right angle triangle. In a right angle triangle, the little square in the angle tells you that it is a right angle or 90 degrees. So every time when you see this kind of little square that indicates 90 degrees, the angle may not be mentioned, but if you see this box or a square symbol, it is understood that this is 90 degrees. Okay? The two sides which comes together in a right angle are called legs. So in a right triangle, you see that this vertical line, okay, and the other one. Some people may call this one as base, and this one is either height or altitude. Okay, and we call these two as legs. Legs. Next, the side across from the right angle, this one is known as, you must be knowing, this one is hypotenuse. I'll repeat again. If you take in a right angle triangle, the side across from the right angle, this side is known as the hypotenuse. It's really important. Simply the side opposite to 90 degrees is known as hypotenuse. So this is the hypotenuse. And next, so what have you learned? Let's have a quick look of all those terms. What have you learned? So the summary is this is legs, this is one leg, this is you can call it as base, or this is also leg. And next, the side opposite to 90 degrees, this is hypotenuse. This is hypotenuse. Okay, and you know that this little square indicates that 90 degrees. It's a triangle which has an angle that is 90 degrees. That's a right angle triangle. The two sides that makes up the right angle are called legs. So this is leg and this is another leg. And the side opposite to the right angle is known as hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse. Now, what is Pythagorean theorem? You can call it as Pythagoras or Pythagorean theorem, one and same. In a right triangle, if A and B are the measures of the legs and C is the hypotenuse, then A square plus B square equal to C square. What is this A square, B square, C square means? You may take this as, I hope you remember that in a triangle, we call these two as legs, right? This is A and this one is B. So these two are legs. So you may rewrite this one as side square plus side square equals to C is the hypotenuse. So that is hypotenuse square. Okay. Remember, the hypotenuse C is always the longest of all the three sides. Next, a simple example is given here. Find the length of the hypotenuse. If A equals to 12 and B equals to 16. So here, let me write that by Pythagorean theorem, Pythagorean, or say Pythagoras theorem. We take side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. So, one of these sides is, if you want to write as a square plus b square equals to c square. Remember, c indicates the hypotenuse. So here one of the sides that is 12 square. And what's the value of b means? That value I'm plugging in here, which is 16 square equals to c square. So what is 12 square? 12 times 12. It is not 12 times 2. It is 12 times 12. So please remember 12 square. This is not 12 times 2. This is not 12 times 2. 12 square means it is 12 times 12, which means we are multiplying the same number with the same. So 12 times 12, that gives me 144 plus 16 square. As I told you before, 16 square means it is not 16 times 2, it is 16 times with the same number, that is 16. Okay, so what is 16 times 16? That gives you 256. 256 equal to c square. Now let's add 256 to 144. You can do simple addition, you'll get 400. In order to eliminate the square symbol, you have to take the square root of this value. While solving the problems, if there is addition, like say x plus 2 equals to 5, you know what to do. To eliminate this positive 2, we take the opposite, which is negative sign, right? So the value of x equals to 3. In the same way, when they say that c square equals to 400, in order to eliminate the square, to isolate c, what you have to do is the inverse operation of square is a square root. So square root of 400. You can take the calculator and you can compute. Then you get plus or minus 20. But we'll talk about positive or negative maybe later while taking the quadratic equations. For time being, let's assume that all are positive values. So here the value of c equals to 20. Now let me go to the next example. Oops, I'm sorry. Already I computed, I got 20, but here the formula is missing. That's the reason I have done it for you. Well, let's go to the next slide. Okay, find the length of hypotenuse if a equals to 5 and b equals to 7. Once again, we follow the same rule, that is by Pythagoras theorem. We take side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. Just side square means it is a square, b square, hypotenuse is c square. So just plug in these values here, a value and the value of b here, just plug in here. 5 square plus 7 square equals to c square. So I'm not continuing this one. I want you to try on your own. Okay, so I'm giving about 30 seconds of time. I want you to compute on paper and tell me what the answer is. Well, I will explain this one. 5 square is 25. 7 square is 49 equal to c square. Now, combine 25 and 49, that gives you 74. Then c square equals to 74. As I told you before, in order to eliminate square and isolate c, we take the square root of whatever the value obtained on the other side. Okay, so square root of 74, square root of 74. So let me use my calculator. I used my calculator. I got 8.602. 8.602. So you may round it to 8.6. That's the value of C. Let me take one more. Yeah, as I told you that, the answer is also included here. Now find the length of the hypotenuse. It is same as the previous questions. So let's do one thing. Let's go to the worksheet. Then here you see that the note says that use only with right triangles. You can use the Pythagoras theorem only with right triangles. To figure out if a triangle is a right triangle or not, we use the converse. That I'll discuss. I'm taking an example. This question is same as the previous examples, but the only difference is here one of the sides are missing. You know that by Pythagoras theorem, you may get a doubt. Is it necessary to write every time the Pythagoras theorem when you solve a question? Means my answer is yes, it is. Because when you write the same rule again and again, what happens is it stays in your mind. A square plus b square equal to c square. You know the condition. So, which is here 3.9 square plus 11 square equal to c square. Actually, this is the most possible mistake that a student can make, because I see that 11 is not one of the legs. It is not one of the legs because here is this square. The little square indicates 90 degrees. It indicates 90 degrees. The side opposite to 90 degrees is known as hypotenuse. Usually we indicate hypotenuse with the letter C. Therefore, hypotenuse is 11, but you see that I have taken that one of the legs as 11. This is the most expected mistake by most of the students. So please be careful while writing the values. So here b is not 11. So what I'm doing is, let me take b square here, and in the place of c square, let me plug in the value of 11 here. Again, I'm repeating, when you plug in the values, you have to be really careful, really careful. So let me take the value of 3.9 square. I'm using my calculator. That is giving me 15.21 plus b square equals to 11 square. Don't forget 11 square, it is not 11 times 2, it is 11 times 11. So 11 times 11, that gives me 121. You know, what's the next step? We go for inverse operation. You know that we have to take away 15.21 on both these sides in order to isolate b. So the next step is when you take away 121 minus 15.21, I'm using my calculator and I got 105.79. That's the value of b square. Friends, again, this is another possible confusing part, that is how to eliminate the square. Don't forget, you have to go for the inverse operation. Opposite of square, sorry, inverse of square is a square root. Therefore, you have to take the square root on the other side. 105.79, this is under the square root. So take your calculator and compute what is the square root of 105.79. You may make use of calculator, then you'll get that 10.285. If you want, you may round it 0.285. So that is the value of b equals to 10.3. So here the procedure is not difficult. The only thing is you have to remember the procedure and the formula. Let me take one more question. Wow, I see that there are some word problems. These problems are real world scenarios. So let me copy a question from this. Okay. The instruction says that solve each of the following. Please draw a picture. It is really important when you are solving word problems. You are expected to draw a picture that represents the given situation and use Pythagorean theorem to solve. Be sure to label all answers and leave answers in exact simplified form. So let's go to the whiteboard, and here is the question. The bottom of a ladder must be placed 3 feet from a wall. The ladder is 12 feet long. How far above the ground does the ladder touch the wall? So I'm not really good at drawing, but still let me give a try. So there is a, oops, I'm sorry, I have to take the pen. There is a wall. Oh, not bad. Then, okay, without killing much of time, let me draw this one. Not bad. Ooh. The brick size is not same across, so please excuse me for that. Okay, so let's take, okay, so there is a wall, okay, and a ladder must be placed. So ladder, let me try ladder. So here is the ladder, and oh, so the steps should be parallel. So here is the ladder. So always when you look at the question, by the time immediately you have to think of drawing a diagram that represents the given situation. Okay, so here I see that, let me read the question again. The bottom of a ladder must be placed 3 feet from the wall. So here is the wall, and this is the foot of my ladder or bottom of the ladder. This one must be placed 3 feet. So this is 3 feet from the wall. The ladder is 12 feet long, so the length of ladder is given. So you should be very careful while identifying the parts of the diagram. How far above the ground? Above the ground means the question is find the height of the wall. Okay. This is representing a perfect right triangle. You know, this is 90 degrees. L shape indicates always, you know, this is 90 degrees, right? Therefore, let me write Pythagoras theorem again. As I told you before, make it as a habit. Not only this formula, whenever you solve any math problem, keep writing the formula again and again, that stays in your mind. So by Pythagoras theorem, it is side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. So always write the formula. And second thing is, I personally prefer to identify the parts. Like I know that this is one of the legs, and this is also like, you can call it as perpendicular, you can call it as height, and the side opposite to 90 degrees, the side opposite to 90 degrees, don't forget this is called as a hypotenuse. This is called as a hypotenuse. So this is a hypotenuse. Okay. Okay. Don't forget the formula side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square, or a square plus b square equals to c square. Now, at this point, plug in the values. So, one of these sides, that is 3 feet, you can consider it as A. Then the other one, I don't know what is the length of this leg. Therefore, this is missing. So let me use the same variable, which is B. And hypotenuse, I see that it is 12. It is 12 according to the formula. I have to use square, so it is 12 square. So 3 square, again, don't get confused. 3 square means 3 times 3. 3 times 3, that gives me 9. Plus b square equals to 12 square. 12 times 12, that is 144. 12 times 12, it is not 12 times 2, it is 12 times 12. That gives us 144. As you know that the simple algebra calculations we have to do, we have to go for inverse operation so that b can be isolated. Therefore, if I take away 9, then I get b square equals to 135. I told you earlier also, don't forget, in order to eliminate this one, the inverse operation of square is square root. Therefore, square root of 135, we take it. Then at this point, use your calculator. I'm using my calculator. Square root of 135. Okay, that gives me 11.619. So I'm taking 11.6. So here the units, I see that in feet, and this is also 3 feet. Therefore, it must be in feet. So the ladder reaches the wall at a height of 11.6 feet. Okay, so let's go to another problem. What is the length of the diagonal? Okay, so let me take one more question randomly. This is another question. So the question says that what is the length of the diagonal of a rectangle? So here, let me try a rectangle, and I have to go for a diagonal. Diagonal means from this point to this point. I would say that, let me explain this one. Let's say that ABCD is a rectangle. ABCD is a rectangle. You know that all the 4 corners of a rectangle is always 90 degrees, right? And the square represents, don't forget, 90 degrees. And the length and width are given as 10 and 15 centimeters. So the longest one, 15 centimeters here, and the shortest one is 10 centimeters here. Obviously, in a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. Now, if you observe carefully, here, triangle ADC is representing, this one is representing a right angle triangle. This one is representing a right angle triangle, right? And AC is the diagonal here. We discussed this point while discussing quadrilaterals. Well, here triangle ADC is representing a right triangle. Then the question is, what is the length of the diagonal? Don't forget, this is the diagonal. Okay, right. By Pythagoras theorem, you notice that every time I am writing again and again and again, by Pythagoras theorem, I am writing this theorem again and again. So when I write more number of times, this stays in my mind. Okay, so side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. This is the condition. Now, what is side means? Don't forget the either side of 90 degrees. I repeat. So here is the 90 degrees angle. The either side are the sides which are associated with this. These two are the legs. So this is one of the legs and this one is the other leg. Don't forget the side opposite to 90 degrees. The side opposite to 90 degrees is the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse. So A square, that is side square, B square, that is side square, hypotenuse is C square. Now let me plug in the values. This is 10 square, this is 15 square, and hypotenuse is not known. So 10 square, simple, 10 times 10, it is not 10 times 2. 15 square, it is not 15 times 2, it is 15 times 15. That gives me 225. Just do simple addition. That gives us 325. And in order to eliminate the square, we take the square root on the other side. So square root of 325. So let me quickly grab my calculator. You also can compute meanwhile. What is the square root of 325? I got the answer. You also can check on your calculator what's the answer is. Yes, it is 18.02. 18.02. So let me see another question which is something a little complicated. Okay. Right. Interesting. This question seems to be interesting. So let me take, okay, find. Right. This question I'm taking. Find the area of a triangle if 8 and 12 are a leg and hypotenuse. So, first of all, let me visualize the given question. There is a triangle, there is a, I would say there's a right triangle, okay, because when it is mentioned that hypotenuse exists in a right triangle, you know that. So let me mark it as 90 degrees with a square here, and hypotenuse, you know that the side opposite to 90 degrees, the side opposite to 90 degrees is the hypotenuse. Therefore, here hypotenuse is 12. One leg, it can be base or it can be perpendicular. So you can take one of them, it doesn't matter. So let me take one of the legs as 8 units here. Don't forget, this is the hypotenuse. The longest side, I said the side opposite to 90 degrees, this is the hypotenuse. Okay, and the question is find the area of triangle. Area of triangle. I know that area of triangle area of triangle equals to half times base times height. Base times height. So half times, do you know what is the base? Yes, I know, it is 8. And what is the height? Oh, height is not known. Height is not known. So using Pythagoras theorem, you have to find what is the height of that. Okay. This is a right triangle. So let me write again. By Pythagoras theorem, let me write that side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. Side square, I can take 8 here. Don't forget the other side is not 12. It is the hypotenuse. And the other side is missing. So let me write here side square. 8 square, again it's a gentle reminder, it is not 8 times 2, it is 8 times 8. That gives me 64 plus side square equals to 12 squares. 12 times 12, that is 144. Simple math, simple algebra, go for inverse operation to identify the value of the variable. So 64, take your 64, gets cancelled. Side square equals to, it is 4 minus 4, 0, 14 minus 6, that gives me 80. Earlier also I told that if you want to eliminate this square symbol, the inverse operation of square is square root. The inverse operation of square is square root. Therefore, side equals to square root of 80. So let me grab my calculator, and what's the value of square root of 80? You also can compute. That gives me 8.944. So the side is 8.94. Just I'm taking only 2 digits after the decimal. So the missing side, I found that 8.94. Now plug in the value in the place of height. Now grab your calculator and compute half times 8 times 8.94. I see that it is 35.76. Area is always expressed in square units. Here the units are not mentioned like inches, centimeters, foot, etc. Therefore, I am taking this one as simply as 35.76 square.